Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Annalisa and this is going to be my VaLITines TBR. There are a lot of hosts because this is a BookWeb event rather than just BookTube. So there are hosts for BookTube, for Twitter, for Instagram, and also for TikTok. And I will be linking the announcement video below. It was created by Kate of Chapter Kate. And this is one of my favorite readathons because I really love Valentine's. Part of it is because I get to buy Valentine's decorations and I really love pink and hearts and stuff like that. So it's a great time to stock up on that kind of thing. But also because in my family, Valentine's has always been a love of everyone thing rather than a romantic love thing, and so I really like celebrating platonic love and my love of things like books on and around Valentine's Day. So this readathon is very much right up my alley because it is not about reading romance books, it is about celebrating our love of books of all kinds and our love for the bookish community. There are also a large number of prompts and a bingo board, which is very fun and cool looking, and also where I've gotten the red with black idea rather than, you know, pink and red or something like that. I really love this color scheme. And with all these prompts, I have a lot of books on my soon to be read plans because I've gotten them from the library and they need to go back at some point. So I've matched a bunch of them up as best I could, and I'm going to leave this where I can pick which ones I want to read when I want to read them, and it might end up looking like a bingo and it might not, but probably will considering how many books I read in a month and that there are various other challenges, like to talk about it on Twitter and read a book after self-care. I'm not pressuring myself at all to read all of these books in the month of February, and I'm also not totally sure what the full prompts are for each of these things because I didn't write that down because I was writing this list longhand and I just wrote the names and not what they're described as, but I remember some of them, so I will tell you about them. But if you want more information, the announcement video will be below where Kate fully explains what's going on. Love Shack is to read a book with a building on the cover, and I was going to use The Space Between Worlds for this because it has a bunch of buildings on the cover because it's two different cityscapes. But then the library is like, a bunch of more people want that book, you can't have it for as long as usual, give it back. So I'm reading it right now. But in Last Sun, they are clearly inside of a building, and I think that kind of counts because this is a stained glass window. But I might also be able to count some of the other books on this list because buildings on the cover are not super uncommon. For Black Future Month, it is to read a Afrofuturism book, which I think A Phoenix First Must Burn is because it has both sci-fi and fantasy in it, and it is all books by and about Black people, so I assume that at least some of the science fiction will be Afrofuturism because it is a short story collection that I've been waiting a long time to get, and I'm very excited about. Like, look at that cover. That is gorgeous. And it actually goes with the color scheme of the readathon, so that's cool. Last Sun is super highly recommended by Kelsey of Kelsey Reads, and I've forgotten what it's about, but she really, really likes it, and I think it has Ace rep, so I'm excited to read it. And this is also my pick for Goo Goo Eyes, which is to read a book either that is got a very pretty cover or a cover with eyes on it, and I think this guy's eyes are pretty prominent because they're glowing, so I counted that. Then there are prompts for each of the 5 love languages. So the first one is Words of Affirmation, which is a book with that has been like blurbed by author you really like. And The Weight of Stars has been blurbed by Shauna McGuire, and I really liked Every Heart Adore by her, and also Into the Drowning Deep, which is by her but under a different pen name. She says, The Weight of the Stars is one of the most gentle, gracious, and overall kind books that I've read all year. It's a YA romance about girls and stars and friendship and mercy and loss and regret and what we owe each other and what we give away to lift each other up. And that just sounds wonderful, and I was planning to read this for another readathon back in November, but I got super depressed and didn't read much of anything for that readathon, so trying again. Then there's a prompt called Love Language, which is probably to read a translated book but might also be to read a book with my favorite tropes. And I'm guessing that based off the fact that I've written down Yona of the Dawn for it, which I haven't gotten yet. The request is supposed to come in on like the 3rd of February. That is a manga that I have watched the anime of and really liked it, and it's got a couple of tropes that are my most favoritist tropes, including, and you know this right off the bat, childhood best friends to at least some kind of romantic something, because I don't know where it goes because the anime isn't very long, and also bodyguard princess pairing. And I'm nuts about both of those things. And even specifically, the bodyguard guy is like a general or something, and that the first ship I ever shipped was between a general and the princess of his country, who he began being the bodyguard of because his country was invaded. This being Fire Emblem Sacred Stones, that I played when I was like 8 years old, and either that or Arwen and Aragorn from Lord of the Rings was my first ever ship, and has definitely influenced my taste in literature and stories in general. So I'm very excited to read this manga. And last time I searched up on my library to see if they had it because I was enjoying the anime so much, they didn't have it. So sometime between the last time I watched that anime and now, they acquired quite a large amount of the manga, so I'm very happy about that. I'm very happy I decided to check again. Then Skip a Beat, which I believe is to read a book without knowing anything about it going in, and I have a couple different options for this because a couple of these have been in my TBR for a long time and I've forgotten entirely what they're about, such as Last Sun, but also Falling in Love with Hominids, which is on the floor over there, and Lobizona, which I get witchy vibes from, but I don't actually remember the plot summary or any other details. Then Quality Time, which is to read a book you know will take a long time, and for that I'm thinking of reading Empire of Gold because it is the last book in the Davabad trilogy, if that's what it's called. But I just read Kingdom of Copper in earlier in January, and it was a 20-hour audiobook. I usually read 16 and under hour audiobooks, and it was a bit slow in the middle. It just was, and I wasn't sure while I was reading Kingdom of Copper if I would be up to reading Empire of Gold the next month because it was so slow, and because I was worried the ending would be really sad and make me depressed, but fortunately it didn't, so I think I might be able to read Empire of Gold next month. Then another love language is gifts, and for that one it's to read a book that was gifted to you, I think, and so I'm planning on reading Dianhawk's Gambit because I bought this with Christmas money that was given to me, so I figure close enough. And this is basically just super highly recommended by Angela of Literature Science Alliance, and it's also written by one of my favorite authors, Yoonha Lee, so I'm very excited. It's a sci-fi, as you could probably tell from the spaceship on the cover. Opposites Attract, which is to read a book that's outside of your usual tastes, I think, and I picked Sprinkle of Murder, which I was also supposed to read for that readathon that I didn't read anything for because I was depressed. My Sunshine, which I think is to read a lighthearted book. I'm planning on reading more of the witch manga. Do I have any of that within reach? No, it's not a manga. It's a graphic novel, and it's from Italy, interestingly enough, which explains why their schools work very differently than ours. I was very confused by that when I read the first book and hadn't seen, oh, it's by an Italian author. For Long Distance, I was planning on reading Lobizona, and I don't know why. For Head Over Heels, oh, I'm planning on reading something by Victoria Schwab, V.E. Schwab, because I'm pretty sure the V stands for Victoria, which is longer than Schwab, and the prompt is to read something, an author with a first name longer than a last name, and so I'm planning on reading Vicious. Then another love language is touch, and for that I'm planning on reading Disability Visibility, so it's probably supposed to be a touching story, and there are a lot of very emotional stories in there. I had to stop reading it because it was a little too much. but I'm gonna try again. For long-term relationship, I'm planning on Conspiracy of Bones because it's supposed to be something you've been planning on reading for a really long time, and I've been wanting to find at least something by Kathy Reichs for a very long time. Then Acts of Service, Legendborn. I think it's supposed to include a quest, and I assume that this set after Arthur retelling type thing, Camelot involved thing, might involve a quest. That seems like something that it would do. I've heard some mixed reviews about this book, so it's nice to know that going in, because I've also heard some really good rave reviews, so we'll see what I think of it. It's got a very cool cover. I don't really like the original King Arthur stories, but I have really enjoyed a lot of retellings, so hopefully this will be something I will like. I was planning on reading Snow White with the Red Hair for a dream come true because it's supposed to be a book relating to a dream you've had, either like a dream of how you would like things to be, or like a dream you've had while sleeping. And so Shirayuki is an herbalist, and in this country herbalists also function as doctors and healers and nurses, all three regularly, depending on what level and how much experience they have. And besides the fact I'd really like to be an herbalist, I specifically wanted to be a nurse for a really long time. And Shirayuki is kind of living that dream, and I'm kind of nuts about it, and I really like living that vicariously through her, but in a less triggering way than if I was reading about nurses in modern day. But then I decided, well, I can pick up the first one and leave the rest for VaLITines. And then I was like, oh, I can pick up the next one. And soon enough, I had binged the entire series in 3 or 4 days. I have 8 volumes, and I enjoyed them so very much. I might still reread one of these during VaLITines. In fact, I probably will. But yeah, quite addicting and very me. Then for commitment issues, it's to either continue or start a series, and I know there is at least a sequel to Nightmare Arcanist, so it's at least a duology, and this is an indie book, and I've heard really good things about it. Plus it's a cool cover with phoenixes and cool glowing swords and in magical animated suits of armor. So it should be pretty cool. And then First Date, I'm not sure, but my notes say I'm supposed to read The Stars and the Blackness Between Them for it. So, oh, I think it's to read a different author for the first time, which a lot of the books I'm reading this month are going to be new to me authors, so any of those could count for it. But yeah, I would like to get this read soonish. So that's my TBR. I'm also planning on doing the video challenges and Instagram challenges and maybe even the TikTok challenges, because I've just started doing TikToks, although my TikToks are baking TikToks, so I don't know if they would fit in with my theme very well. But we'll see how inspired I get. And I'm also taking part in, I think it's Bookish Cupid, whichever is the one where you do pen pal stuff and send little letters and notes to each other through the mail. So that should be fun, and I'm planning on doing at least one vlog so I can record all the fun extra stuff that I'm doing and get all those fun Valentine's-y lovey-dovey feels. If you'd like to leave an emoji, how about a heart of your color choice? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!